Hey, welcome to Boozy Bookshelf, the podcast where I revisit my favorite childhood books with an adult eye and an impaired mind. My name is Ashley, and this week I'm joined once again by my lovely roommate Crystal. This week we read chapters 20 and 21 of Vampire Academy by Richelle Mead. I read this book 10 years ago but never finished the series, and this is Crystal's first time reading. We had so much fun this week, so much happened, so grab a glass of wine and stick around on this journey. Oh gosh, what did you do today? Did you just gag on your wine?
Yes. I
don't think it's that bad.
My nipples are hurt. It's so gross. I worked today and now we're podcasting. What did you do?
I worked for a little bit. I went to the gym, went to the pool, went to CVS and got wine. I don't think this wine is that bad. It's Cabernet.
The first few sips are always a little hard for me, especially if I'm like a little nauseous. And I'm a little nauseous right now.
That's fair. We're drinking Yellowtail Cabernet because it was cheap.
And we're broke.
And we are broke. Yeah.
So I'm excited for this chapter. We originally were going to do 20 and 21, but I came home this morning and she was like, "You can't read ahead." I was like, all right.
Well, so much happened in chapter 20, and I just wanted to talk about this chapter with you because so much happened, and I'm really excited about it.
I'm excited about it, but I'm also really eager to read 22, 21. Really eager. So buckle up, kiddos. This is a wild one.
Oh boy. So chapter 20 starts with Rose being shocked by Jesse and Ralph's confession. They tell her that Mia promised to have sex with them if they spread the rumors about Rose. They also reveal that Mia cheated on Aaron with them. Rose and Mason walk away. Rose sees Lissa across the room surrounded by people. Rose can feel that Lissa is both anxious and excited. Rose also notices Christian watching Lissa. Mason tells Rose to stop worrying about Lissa, and they join the other novices. Rose tells them about the Mia scandal, and the gossip starts to spread, clearing Rose's name. Rose has fun at the dance, but she can feel Lissa getting more anxious. Rose looks for her again and sees Mia approaching her. Mia starts yelling at Lissa, and Rose runs to her side. Mia somehow knows that Lissa has been put on medication and is threatening to tell everyone. Rose grabs her and jerks her away from Lissa. Rose punches Mia as hard as she can and feels her nose crunch. She gets in one more hit before someone pulls her away. Rose sees Lissa run away as she is led out of the room by guardians. Lissa is devastated that everybody knows her secret now. Rose yells for Christian to go after her. Rose is escorted to her room. She knows that there will be hell to pay tomorrow, but the staff doesn't want to punish her during all the chaos. And then Rose gets sucked into Lissa's head. Lissa is terrified. Christian is hurt. They are both in the chapel attic, surrounded by people that had just burst in. Christian attempted to use his fire magic, but one of the attackers hit him over the head and knocks him out. They approach Lissa next and tell her not to worry because they're guardians. They grab Lissa, and then Rose is forced out of her head. Her own mind suddenly goes blank, and she struggles to remember what was wrong. She decides that she needs to see Dimitri because he will know what to do. She sneaks out and goes to the staff dorms. She doesn't know which room is Dimitri's, but she feels like something is pulling her towards one of the doors. She beats on the door, and Dimitri opens it. He looks shocked, and Rose tells him that something is wrong with Lissa. Dimitri is shirtless and only wearing pajama bottoms. He asks her what's wrong, but Rose can't answer because she's mesmerized by him. She knows that something is wrong, but all she can think about is Dimitri touching her. She approaches him and tries to touch his chest. Dimitri steps back and asks if she's drunk. She tries to touch him again, and he struggles to avoid her. She pauses and asks if he thinks that she's pretty. Dimitri is confused and tells Rose to go back to her room. She tries to touch him again, and he grabs her wrist to stop her, but when he grabs her, he seems to forget everything else and suddenly wants her just as much as she wants him. He runs his hand up her arm and pulls her up against his body. He wraps his hand in her hair and pulls her face up to his. She asks him again if he thinks that she's pretty, and he tells her that she's so beautiful that it hurts. And he kisses her gently at first, but it quickly grows in intensity. He runs his hands down her body until they reach the edge of her dress, and he pulls it off of her and throws it on the floor. He says he loves the dress and then takes Rose to bed.
Oh my god, talk about emotional roller coaster. This chapter, you never knew what was going to happen on the next page. Actually, I only got through half of it last night, And in the middle of work, Ashley asked if I had finished it. When I said no, she was like, I need to watch you finish it. And I see why. I see why.
So much just happened. My brain, while I was reading this chapter, was going 1,000 miles a minute. Even knowing what the final outcome is going to be, I could not believe how much got shoved into one chapter.
My first note is we find out Mia cheated on Aaron with Ralph and Jesse, but if it was only the fact that Lissa's brother fucked her over, why is she going to such it has to be more. There has to be more to it. It can't just be that Andre fucked her over.
Mia has a lot of nerve calling Rose a whore when she's cheating on her boyfriend with two dudes just so that they'll go spread gossip about Rose.
I feel like I'm getting this little tingle in my brain that maybe she only fucked around with Andre though to get something from that family because she doesn't like Lissa. It's not like she can fuck Lissa.
Maybe. I don't know. I like that Mason very clearly threatened Ralph and Jesse to get them to confess. I really love Mason.
I love Mason. I almost wish we had a book where it was just Mason and Rose and then like Dimitri come in the second book because I would love just like some lighthearted fun love between Rose and Mason, but that's never going to happen. So,
I stick to my theory that Rose is going to eventually date Mason, even if she is into Dimitri the whole time. I stick to my theory that there will be some Mason love at some point.
I'm not saying there won't be, but I definitely feel like the whole thing though she'll still have Dimitri in the back of her mind, so it's not going to be as like cute and lovey as I want.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Rose punched Mia, finally.
Yep, my one of my notes says, "Yes, finally, Rose beats that ass." She finally does. Well, what led up to it I thought was kind of fucked up. Like Lissa and Rose kept their distance kind of the whole night. Rose did say when they made eye contact she could feel a bit of regret, but she wanted Lissa to have a good night. And then she saw Mia walk up to her and was telling everybody everything that Rose. How did she even fucking find out?
I don't know how she found out, but Mia's such a fucking bitch for using Lissa's mental health against her in such a public way. I hope that her nose is broken and I hope that it never looks right again. I hope that she looks a little fucked up for the rest of her life.
I'm still standing by the fact I'd kick her off a cliff. So
Also, Mia talks a lot of shit for someone that doesn't even try to fight back.
Mia is all talk. She is literally like all those stupid high school bully bitches that were all talk.
Yeah, do you think Rose is gonna get expelled?
No. I think after they do the dirty, she's going to somehow remember something's going to happen. And I think whatever she does to save the day is going to keep her from getting expelled.
Yeah, I agree. Speaking of saving the day, I have a note here that says Christian Ozera is off to save the day when he runs after her when she's upset. Christian made Lissa feel better for like 2 seconds before he got knocked the fuck out. And Christian tried to use fire magic to defend Lissa, which I think was pretty cute.
I thought that was really cute. I honestly can picture the scene very vividly in my head of them escorting Rose out and her like not desperately but urgently yelling at Christian, "Go Lissa, go find Lissa, go after her, you dumbass." Like I could just picture it in my head and I cannot wait to see this like played out. I'm like over here grinning. I'm really excited. I hope Lissa and Christian actually have some kind of a future.
Oh, when I was reading this, I could picture everything. Richelle Mead did such a good job in this chapter. Everything. I was like sitting there just oblivious to the world, so wrapped up in this book during this chapter.
Yeah, usually for me, if it's a book's too wordy or like, I don't know, usually it looks like word vomit, but she did a really good job of keeping my attention and not confusing the fuck out of me.
Yeah, like so much happened, but she does it so well where it doesn't feel confusing at all. And you're getting so much information shoved into your brain and so many different twists and turns. But it's really easy to keep up with, which I appreciated.
I really appreciate that it's easy to keep up with, but I also really appreciate that she's still able to somehow make me look at you and be like, what the fuck? Like,
Why did Rose just forget about Lissa being kidnapped? I know the answer to this, but I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I think Lissa got knocked out and that, like, cut her out, but I also kind of feel like the intense feeling she had for Dimitri in that moment might also be a byproduct of that. I don't really know. I'm still working on that theory in my head, so we'll probably come back to that one.
Well, going off of that, how did she find Dimitri's room if she didn't know which room was his?
Can Dimitri reach out to her? Was Dimitri touching his peen, thinking about Rose?
I like that theory. Poor Dimitri has to be so confused when Rose just shows up at his door wearing that dress and just trying to touch him. Like she just keeps coming too. He keeps like stepping back and like avoiding her, and then she just keeps coming and keeps trying to touch him.
I mean, imagine like before he has seen her like that, she's like, "Listen, needs help," and he's like, "It's game time." So he probably got in game time mode, and then he realized the game was another type of game. I thought it was cute how you could tell you could kind of see the inner conflict in him this time. Because, like, once he grabbed her wrist, it was game over. He was like, fuck me, literally. But no, I really, at first, at the beginning of the book, we were like, they need to wait till she's older, da da da. Which I'm still all for that, but I really, I really, really, really like Dimitri and Rose.
Do you think that they are having sex in chapter 21?
I don't think they'll do the full do, no.
My next note just says they kissed, they kissed, they kissed.
I was still reeling over what the fuck happened to Alyssa.
Yeah, my next note just says Lissa is in danger. What are you doing, Rose?
I just so the people who attacked her in the attic are definitely the people who took Miss Carp, but I'm still trying to connect the dots as to who the fuck they could be because she said it's not like any of the guardians they had seen at the school.
Who do you think these guardians are? Do you think that they're someone's guardians that are working for that person, or do you think that they're like doing their own thing?
I think they're doing their own thing. I don't think they're protecting anybody in particular. I mean, Mia doesn't have a guardian.
So, do you think it's that group of guardians that are the danger thing that's been leaving dead animals on Lissa's bed?
I think it's the force behind it.
What do you think that force is?
I don't know yet. I still kind of feel like Miss Carp isn't dead and that she's Shergoy, clearly, but I also feel like, I mean, she was there with the school for so many years. She knows the ins and outs of the wards. And I mean, what other way to like, I mean, I guess she could just leave a little note like, hey, maybe you guys should leave again instead of leaving dead animals all over Alyssa's life, but I don't know. I feel like she's still alive. Like, it's going to be an aha moment here soon where I'm going to be like, oh, this is probably what's happening. But as of right now, I have no fucking idea what's going on.
What do you think is causing Rose to just completely forget that Lissa is in danger? I know that she's all wrapped up in Dimitri right now, probably literally, but what do you think made her just completely blank when she got shoved out of Lissa's head?
There's no way Miss Carp is behind it, right?
I don't think so. No.
I think Rose was sucked out of Lissa's head because I think Lissa was bound and gagged. I bet she passed out.
Okay, so you think that Rose got shoved out of her head because she got knocked out.
Yes.
Okay, but then what is making Rose forget about everything that she saw when she was in Lissa's head?
Because the bond is broken.
You think the bond is broken like forever?
I think it's broken for right now, at least.
Okay.
I think that's why she can't remember because, like, without the bond there, I mean, of course you're not going to remember.
Okay. All right. Dimitri says that Rose is so beautiful that it hurts.
Talk about feels. Oh my god. That made me a little tingly. In the exact way that you think I'm saying it.
Does this explain the admiring glances during practice and the intense eye contact and everything else?
Yes, I like that we've been pretty much right about him, other than the pedophilia little binge we had. But he's definitely just been holding back. Can definitely see him not wanting to acknowledge that whatever happened in this chapter happened later on. I can definitely see him having some internal struggle with that. But when he said that he said so beautiful it hurts sometimes, and I was. Again, why don't I have a hot Russian speaking nasty things in my ear?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that line right there just gave me all sorts of feelings.
Guten Tag.
I think that's German.
I did my best.
Okay, are they gonna have sex? You said they're not gonna have sex.
I don't think they're doing the dirty right now, no.
The next note I wrote down was Am I okay with this?
See, I'm kind of struggling with the same thing, but I'm okay with it. Like I said, I don't think they're having sex right now, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Just, I don't know. I just am.
Yeah, my next note says, why am I okay with this?
Well, at least we're on the same page.
My last note says, it was a different time. I've been talking to this girl on Twitter that's really into Vampire Academy, and I was like, are you okay with the whole Rose and Dimitri thing? And she was like, yeah, I mean, it was a different time when it was written. It was written in a time where these like niche relationships and like large age gaps were looked at as like hot instead of like pedophily. And hold on, let me see exactly what she said. I believe her name is Zara, or I don't, it starts with a Z. So if you hear this, hi. Um, she said it's definitely a hard topic to discuss because of the age difference, and I don't really think there's a wrong or a right way to feel, but for this couple specifically, I feel like it's handled well. It's handled as well as it can be. Like Dimitri himself is very clear with Rose about boundaries, and that continues throughout the series. It's a slow build that very much starts off with a good emotional connection, which I really appreciate in this situation, but it's also valid to feel weird about it. And that's pretty much exactly what's going on in my brain right now. Yeah, no, I do think that this age gap is handled very well in this series. I think that
She did a really good job of making it like an innocent school crush at the beginning, and she also did a wonderful job having the relationship grow while we also see Dimitri kind of open up and Rose build some character. Like she got more serious, she became more serious about her training and everything. I mean, the only thing she really struggled with was beating people up, but I thought it was cool to see them both grow and then to have them both finally like make that connection. I thought it was done in a very mature way, kind of, even though some weird voodoo shit drew Rose to that dick, but you know,
what do you think the weird voodoo shit is?
I don't know. That's why I called it weird voodoo shit.
Oh God, when I was picturing this in my brain, when he was like running his hands down her body and then grabbing the hem of her dress and just, oh my God.
Same, 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 no same. And the way they described that dress on her, too, like, you know, she looked drop dead gorgeous. Like, you know, she killed it. And I just wish, like you said, we could see this scene from Dimitri's point of view. I want to know what was going through his head. Like, this hot girl comes to my door and tells me her friend needs help. And then we get inside. She's looking fine as fuck. And then she tries to kiss me. But I know it's inappropriate. But I really want to kiss her. It's just, I just,
I do too. He had to have been so confused. Poor Dimitri. Like imagine like this girl that you're mentoring that comes into your room looking super hot. You already have a weird sexual tension thing going on, and then she just starts trying to touch you, and she's like, "My friend is in danger, but first."
but first, let me get this nut really quick.
Oh gosh, yeah. No, I'm weirdly okay with this. I'm weirdly okay with it.
Do you think Rose is going to feel guilty? Like, she's clearly going to remember at some point what was going on. Do you think once she comes to her senses, she's going to feel guilty for kind of leaving Lissa? Did one of the guardians that took Lissa force her out of her brain?
Did they?
Oh my Atlanta! The, the CIA or like Secret Service, like, do you think there's like, I don't know, a hidden order, the Illuminati of the vampires? Do you think there's some of them that are able to do that? Like, somebody knew that Rose and Lissa had. Is Vladimir in on this? Not Vladimir. Victor?
Is he?
Is Victor in on this?
Is he?
Is Victor trying to kill her so Natalie becomes queen? That's so far off, the look on your face. No, but now I'm kind of thinking about it. The wheels are turning. Rose was forced out of Alyssa's head, and since she forgot everything, that wouldn't make sense. Somebody did this. Somebody forced her out of. And then it's somebody that knows where Dimitri's room is, I feel like. And what?
I like where you're going. I like it a lot.
I know you know what happens, though. That's the worst part. So I sit here and stare at you while I talk, trying to figure out what road I'm on and if it's the right one.
Well, this is the only book in the series that I've read as far as I can remember. So after this book, we'll be on the same page.
Okay, so, but can you at least, like, did somebody force her out of his head? Can you just say yes or no?
Are you picturing like a Jedi mind situation where they like got in Lissa's head and saw Rose in there and like shoved her out?
I mean, I wasn't until now. I just feel like it was somebody that knew about the bond, knew Rose was going to be sucked into Lissa's head, and knew they had to cut it before Rose saw where Lissa was being taken to.
Yeah, you're right about that, but there's another element happening. There's another aspect
So
happening.
somebody literally jumped into Lissa's head and saw Rose in there, a baby Rose just standing in her head.
No. It's the other element that you're missing is the thing that kicked her out of I don't know that it's the thing that kicked her out of Lissa's head, but it's the thing that made her forget. There's another element happening here that you don't know yet.
I mean, I can't wait to find out.
Oh gosh. Do you have any other notes?
I'm still kind of piggybacking off the thought I just had. No, I don't have any more notes on this chapter. I mean, there's no way Dimitri was creepy and like did all this. See, I know this is going to be another like Miss Carpus Strigoi thing. I know it's probably right on the tip of my tongue.
I actually don't know that you'd guess what the outside force is. It's kind of
I don't know. Don't doubt me like that. The outside force.
we find out about what this outside force is in chapter 21, I think. It would make sense to find out in chapter 21 because I'm pretty sure it's pretty immediate after this little scene here.
So somebody knew about the bond between Rose and Lissa, and I feel like somebody took advantage of it.
Okay, let's start there. Who knows about the bond?
Victor, Dimitri, Lissa, Rose. I don't think Kurova knows yet. Mia doesn't know. Natalie, I feel like kind of knows.
You think it's Natalie?
No. I don't think Natalie would have a big group of guardians just at her demand.
Who would have a group of guardians?
Victor. Victor's doing it for Natalie, question mark? I I don't see, that's the thing. He's gonna die. I don't know what he needs from Lissa. That's what's like stumping me. He's gonna fucking die. So like I don't know.
What do you think he would want from Lissa?
He's gonna die. Rose was booted out of it. So what if he You're so close. Does he just want Lissa to heal him? Does he want Lissa to heal him so he can become king? And then kill Lissa?
I think that we should read chapter 21.
Is that what's going on? Come on, you can't leave me hanging. Sounds like we're gonna read chapter 20 fun. 21.
21 is my lucky number, by the way.
Mine is 7.
I think you've told me that before. Why is your lucky number 7?
I just like it.
That's fair. My lucky number is... There's puke in... Where? Did you just puke in your mouth? Yeah. We just started drinking.
I'm good. It's okay.
Oh, you got like acid reflux or something? Okay, well that's all I got. Let's read chapter 21. Hey, it's future Ashley in editing. I just wanted to pop in once again and say thank you guys so much for listening. If you're enjoying our drunk ramblings about children's novels, please feel free to leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. You can also find us on TikTok and Instagram by searching Boozy Bookshelf. You can find me on Twitter at Truly Tripping. I post a new episode of this podcast every Tuesday, and I'd love some feedback from you guys. Feel free to reach out with any suggestions that you have. And without further ado, here's our next section. Oh my gosh. Okay. So chapter 21. Rose is both excited and scared about being naked in front of Dimitri. They lay in bed kissing and holding each other. His skin feels like fire against hers. Rose loves being so close to him and can barely believe what's happening. Dimitri is looking at her like she's the most amazing thing in the world. He keeps murmuring her name in Russian, calling her Rosa. Rose can tell that Dimitri wants to do more, but he is taking things slow. He doesn't take his pajama bottoms off. Rose touches the tattoos on the back of his neck and asks if he really killed Six Strigoi. Dimitri kisses her neck and gently bites it before telling her that one day she will have more marks than him. She asks if he feels guilty and if that's why he goes to church. He is surprised and amused that she has figured out another one of his secrets. He says that he doesn't feel guilty, but it does make him a little sad. He tells her that he finds peace at the chapel, but that he finds more peace with her. Dimitri gets back on top of her and kisses her harder than before. Rose realizes that she is finally going to have sex. Dimitri sees the decision in her and smiles as he removes her necklace and sets it on the bedside table. As soon as he sets it down, Rose feels like she's been slapped in the face. Dimitri seems to feel the same way. Rose feels like she just woke up and knows that she needs to remember something about Lissa. Dimitri thinks for a moment and then picks up the necklace again. He is suddenly filled with desire and reaches out to Rose. When he touches her, she is sucked back in. They are about to start kissing again when Rose remembers that something is wrong with Lissa. Dimitri asks if this is the same necklace that Victor gave her. He thinks for a moment and then gets out of bed. He is still struggling against the passion as he walks across the room and drops the necklace out the window. The moment it's gone, Rose feels awake and startled. She remembers what happened and tells Dimitri that Lissa has been taken. Rose can feel how scared Lissa is as she explains everything while Dimitri gets dressed. He gives Rose a sweatshirt to wear over her dress and they take off. They end up in the Guardian office with Kurova and some other staff. No one else believes her, though. Finally, someone finds Christian in the chapel attic. They ask about Strigoi, and Rose tells them that Lissa was taken by Guardians. They still don't believe her, but Christian confirms it. Rose slips into Lissa's head and realizes that the Guardians work for Viktor Dashkov. She tells the staff where they are, and they ask how they got so far away. Dimitri tells them that Rose's necklace had a compulsion spell that made Rose attack him. No one questions the story, and the group sets out to chase Lissa. Rose is allowed to go as a guide to finding them, and Dimitri is driving with Rose in the passenger seat. She is giving him directions as they speed closer. Rose thinks about the way Dimitri looked at her and kissed her. She wonders if it meant anything to him because it meant a lot to her. There had been a lust charm in the necklace, and she worries that the charm was the only reason he wanted her. In Lissa's head, Victor tells her that he isn't going to seriously hurt her, but he does reveal that Natalie has started a rumor that Lissa ran away again. He also tells Lissa that Rose will be occupied until tomorrow, and then he reveals that Lissa needs to heal him. So much just happened.
Pretty much we find out we were right about almost everything. Viktor Dashkov is a cunt. He's a cunt. Natalie, you're a cunt.
Oh boy, so much just happened so fast. I'm still processing it. I literally just read it.
It didn't click for me. The attraction goes away the moment she takes that necklace off, or the moment Dimitri takes it off of her. And the moment that happened, I finally understood the aha! It almost kind of killed me inside though, because now Dimitri and Rose are both doubting themselves. Like, did this mean something to her? Did it mean something to me? And that really, it just pulls my heartstrings to see two people like want each other so bad. But then that kind of, I just, those, I don't know what they are, like tropes. Is that what you'd call it? Those just like stories always make my heart so, ugh.
Yeah, me too. Do you think the lust charm is what made Dimitri so sexually interested in Rose, or do you think that he actually did want her as much as she wanted him?
They both gave into it so easily though, because they knew they wanted each other. And it speaks volumes now. He was trying to tell her to leave before he grabbed her wrists, but the moment he touched her, he couldn't. Whatever was telling him to not go after her was gone. Like, they both just knew what they wanted, which was each other. And I feel like it was a little bit deeper than Victor was meaning to make it, because I don't think he expected them to actually care about each other.
How do you think the lust charm works? Like, she had that necklace on all night at the dance and everything, and she seemed fine. She wasn't all over Mason or anything.
I don't think it's necessarily a lust charm. I think it's some kind of charm that he was able to control from somewhat far away. And he's a sneaky little cunt because he saw Alyssa and Rose bonding over it. And then he was like, I'm going to use this to kill your friend. It's just, what the fuck?
Victor Dashkov, man.
And I had my suspicions about him at the beginning. You did a very good job hiding this for me, because I was like, Victor seems kind of sus. And you're like, but does he? Yes, he seems sus, Ashley.
Cut to us a week and a half ago of you being like, is it Victor? Was Victor the one that did it?
And you're like, was he? Was he the one that did it? Making me. No, I hate him. I just think it was bouncing off the lust they already had for each other. I think had that not been there, their first time probably would have been more awkward and less steamy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that the first time they did something physical, it would be awkward at all because they have such a deep connection already. But I do think that the lust charm just enhanced what was already there. And that's probably why she wasn't like all over Mason because she doesn't see Mason that way. Dimitri's really the only person that she has eyes for at the moment. And so I think that the lust charm just like pulled her towards him all night. Just like earlier in the night in chapter 20 when they ran into each other while she was with Mason and they were just mesmerized by each other and like having that intense stare down outside of the dance.
Yeah, they were mesmerized by each other outside the dance. But because she heard a voice at some, I feel like Victor is able to communicate somehow telepathically through it, or like put these thoughts in her head. That's why I'm not sure it's just a lust charm, but I don't know because she wasn't thinking about Dimitri like that until she jumped out of Alyssa's head, until she was sucked out of Alyssa's head. So I don't know why the feelings would be so strong and intense then and not the whole night.
So I think what happened was you might be right about Lissa getting knocked out and that being what forced Rose out. But I think that the moment she got sucked out of Lissa's head, she was like, I have to find Dimitri because Dimitri will know what to do. And that was what kind of triggered the lust, is her seeing Dimitri in front of her. And the moment they touched, it was like Dimitri could not resist.
I just don't really understand why she'd be kicked out and then her first thought was Dimitri, unless Lissa was the only thing like preoccupying Rose prior.
Well, before, when Rose knew that she had to go help Lissa with something, the first person that she thought to call was Dimitri because she knew that Dimitri would help her get to Lissa. And so it makes sense in my brain for the first person for her to think of as Dimitri because like she trusts Dimitri. Dimitri also wants to protect Lissa. Dimitri's going to help her protect Lissa. But the moment she thought his name, it pretty much just took over her entire body.
That makes a lot of sense now, actually. Yeah, I. Thanks. Thanks. I was really confused. I was like, how does this all go together?
I don't remember if Lissa got knocked out or not, or if the lust charm itself is what pulled her out of Lissa's head. I don't know that I believe that. I do. I'm a little confused about the timeline here of how the lust charm works, because if there was such this intense draw to touch Dimitri, then wouldn't she have just touched him earlier in the night when they were standing there with the other guard, with Alberta and with Mason? Wouldn't it make sense for her to just like have that same desire to touch him and like reach out and like just like touch his arm or something, and then it's like game over then?
That's what's been holding me back this whole time. That's why I think it's more than just a lust charm, because had it been that, she would have just ripped his clothes off right then and there. Not to change the subject, but did it make you feel a little better once we saw that they both still had clothes on and they were just macking on each other? I thought that was so cute. She said she got up on top of him and her hair was draping like around his face. I'm very happy they didn't have sex. Go Richelle Mead, but the way, I don't know. It's still so warm-hearted and just I know Dimitri's like, "Oh man, she didn't mean any of that." Like he's going to be kicking himself.
Dimitri knew what the lust charm was right away. Not right away, but after a moment of thought, after he took it off of her and realized, like, oh, the feeling's gone, and then picked it up again and the feeling was back, he thought for a moment and he knew what the lust charm was. And so I wonder if he's seen a lust charm before or a similar kind of charm. Also, to take it back a step, why was Rose asking if he feels guilty about killing Strigoi in the middle of sexy time? That seems like an inappropriate time.
Man, you've never just like I do that shit sometimes with Jake. Oh my god. So my boyfriend's name is Jake and his dad died like a year and a half ago. And like all the time mid coitus, I'll think of something and it's just like I have to ask him and then I say it and then he's always just like, you couldn't wait. You couldn't wait like 20 minutes. And I'm like, no. I don't know. I can kind of see where she's coming from on that point. I think it's really cute and I think it's really endearing how he responded. Like he smiled and gave a little chuckle and he was like, how do you always know these things? And that was just so cute.
I thought that was really cute too, his reaction to it. I thought it was cute how he wasn't even surprised at the like he wasn't even surprised at this point that she just has him figured out. They just see each other in such a deep way. They're such similar people. that Rose can just guess what he's thinking and what he's feeling. And Rose had pointed out multiple times before seeing Dimitri at church and him not being that interested in the service. And I don't know. I just think it's kind of cute that she notices these little things about him and they're always spot on. I also really liked how Dimitri told Rose that one day she would have more marks for killing Strigoi than he does because he clearly has so much faith in her abilities.
And he is known as a god, which means he had. I mean, man, I know he's not like a stuck up, egotistic brat, but like, if you were known as a god around the school, you'd kind of have a big head. And the fact that he's looking at Rose and is like, "You're a bad bitch. I know you're gonna kill these numbers." Like, I don't know. I have goosebumps right now. I just love their relationship. I love the pace it's going. I mean, usually I'd be like, "I'll get to the good stuff," but I really like the story she's building with them here.
Okay, I just thought of this question. There's 6 books in this series. What book do you think they're going to have sex in?
Man, it's got to be the second or third. I don't see it being dragged out that far.
Do you think that they're ever going to be like in a normal relationship in these books, or do you think it's always going to be like a weird dynamic with weird stuff going on? Because I feel like there's going to be I honestly don't think they're going to get together until the last book.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. I think there's going to be a lot of sexual tension, a lot of. Did you hear that gurgle? Oh my god. I think there's going to be a lot of sexual and like romantic tension. I think they might dabble into it here and there, but I don't see them getting their happily ever after until like the last book, like you said.
So, my thing with dating in my personal life is that I love the chase. I love the tension before anything happens. I love talking and flirting, but never actually doing anything. I love the buildup. I love the slow burn. I love the chase. And so, I love this tension between them. I love this buildup between them. I love how they're so close, but they never quite get there. I hope that that continues for at least a couple of books because that is my shit.
And I'm the exact opposite. I love the chase, I love the slow burn, but my favorite part of a relationship is just like the comfy romantic phase. I know we're not going to get that, but
I don't see Rose and Dimitri ever having like a normal relationship because even if in the future, when she's graduated, whatever happens in the other books happens, at the very end of the series, I still see them having issues trying to be together because before in this book, there was a whole thing about societal norms and how guardians don't get married to each other and guardians don't really be in long term relationships with each other. And I just don't see them ever having a normal relationship because they're both going to be guarding Lissa. They're both going to have to be putting Lissa's life before their own. So there's always going to be some sort of tension between them of them trying to not care about the other too much because they need to put Lissa first.
I am a hopeless romantic and I do get that's it's not going to happen in this book. This isn't one of those books. But I do like the idea of all the other kind of like romantic offhand like gestures they're going to do for each other like he bought her that lip gloss. That was a cute little I love their love story because they're not just blatantly all over each other in love. It's just like they do little things here and there, and then the other one's like, "Oh my god, they actually pay attention." But like,
What if? So that scene in the car a few chapters back, that scene was definitely foreshadowing for something where they're talking about how hard it would be to kill someone that they loved who had become Strigoi and how both of them would want to be killed if they were Strigoi. So what if Rose becomes Strigoi and then it switches to Lissa's point of view and she becomes like a vampire slayer and Dimitri teaches her how to fight and they go to kill Rose.
I really like that theory, but I don't believe that's where we're going with this. I can see either Mason becoming a Strigoi and Dimitri either Dimitri helping Rose with the fact she has to kill him, or Rose helping Dimitri realize they're not all bad. I don't see Lissa becoming a Strigoi. I really don't see Dimitri becoming a Strigoi. Like right now, I feel like Mason. This is so bad, but he's the only disposable fix. Like he's the only one that I love him, but like he's the only one that makes sense to go.
Yeah, that's I do think that Mason is either going to become Strigoi or die at some point. I think that Rose and Mason at some point are going to have a relationship of sorts. Maybe they're never. Do you think that Rose is going to lose her virginity to Dimitri or Mason or someone else that we haven't met yet?
Oof, that's a good question. She was very excited to do it with Dimitri, but I don't think that was all the lust charm though. She actually wanted to have sex with Dimitri though, and that's clearly something very big with her. Like she's been around the block and she has not like done that yet. Even though there was a lust charm, I think it speaks volume that she was ready for it. She was like, "It's finally it. This is gonna happen." And I don't know. I think she's gonna lose it to Dimitri.
Yeah, I think you're right. Um, God, imagine the first time you have sex being with someone that's like older and more experienced and probably knows what he's doing. The first time I had sex was terrible.
The first time I had sex was terrible. It was in my parents' living room while they were upstairs.
No, yeah, mine was in a basement on Halloween, and I was wearing a Halloween costume, and the condom broke.
But yeah, that was my first time, and I see Rose. I just feel like she actually cares about it, and she really cares about that. I mean, unless she actually somehow falls in love with Mason, but I don't really see that happening. Like, I think she'll always compare Mason or whoever to Dimitri.
I feel like if Mason, there has to be a love triangle in this series at some point. My bet is on Dimitri Rose Mason at this point, and I think that if she ever does get involved with Mason, it'll be her trying to make other people happy, like her trying to make Mason happy because Mason is really into her and her. I don't know. I feel like she could also maybe do
You're
it.
you're onto something there. You actually, I feel like you're onto something there. Alyssa dated Aaron again, one to get into the royal circle again, but two to just appease everybody. And Rose, with her character development right now, I could definitely see that go. Or she gets in a lot of trouble and somebody has a suspicion about her and Dimitri, so she low key just starts dating Mason to get the suspicion off of her. I feel like I'm onto something.
Yeah, no, I like that. My next point was that Dimitri says he finds more peace with Rose than he does at church.
When we say my heart exploded, I mean my heart exploded. That was so fucking cute, and the fact that it came right after he realizing that Rose notices things about him. This for the last chapter, she was so beautiful it hurts, and now he finds more peace with her than he does at church, and it's just like,
Dimitri clearly has really strong feelings for Rose. They clearly have a very deep emotional bond, and they're such similar people. And I feel like he has a lot of respect for her as he sees her potential. He knows what she can do. He taught her himself. And I don't know. I want to see at some point in the series, I want to see Rose beat Dimitri in a fight, obviously, but I want to see Dimitri just be like, wow, like, I didn't even teach you that. Like, how'd you learn that? Like, you're doing great. You're better than me at this point. I just want to see Rose beat Dimitri, and I want to see Dimitri just be amazed by how great she
in
is.
other words, you want the same cute, mushy kind of relation. I hope we have that moment. I hope she kicks his ass and he is like, holy shit, I didn't know you could do, and then he loves her even more.
Do you think Dimitri's already in love with Rose, or do you think that he just has like an attraction to her and doesn't know what to do about it?
I think he's in love with her at the end of the day. I think he's in love with her. I think they're in love with one another. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I don't really see Rose getting another major love interest. Well, I guess there's 6 books.
There's 5 more books after this, man. And this is the shortest book in the series.
Well, that just makes me even more excited. So,
I'm so excited to be done with this book so that I have no idea what's going on and we'll be on the same page. If you think Dimitri is in love with Rose, do you think he realizes that he's in love with Rose? Or do you think in his brain he's like, why do I get excited when she looks at me?
I think that's how it was for both of them. I think Rose is coming to her senses now and she's like, man, I actually really care about this man. But I think that's where Dimitri is at right at this point, and I almost kind of feel like once he realized it was the charm, he might have been a little bit relieved. I think he's confused. He doesn't understand why he has such a strong connection and attraction to Rose. And I'm hoping the charm made him realize that he actually cares about her in a romantic sense, but I don't see that happening.
So when they're in the car chasing after Alyssa and Victor, Rose starts wondering to herself if any of that with the lust charm, if any of it meant anything to Dimitri because it had meant so much to her. And I mean, it, as we said, it's a really big deal that she was ready to lose her virginity to him. And I wonder if she's just like scared that he didn't really think anything of it.
Right off the get go, once I found out it was the charm, I knew this was going to be a thing. I think this thing is going to follow us into the next book for sure. I think he's going to look at it as, oh, well, the attraction was never real. It was the charm. It was just a charm. Like, I think he's going to also stand behind that fact because he feels guilty having these feelings for Rose. He knows he shouldn't. He knows she's younger. He knows that's his what? So no, that's her mentor.
She would be a mentee, I suppose. A student. A student.
So essentially, I think he's going to use it to his advantage, but I also think he's going to do that because he doesn't genuinely think that Rose wants him in the same way.
He has to know that Rose has feelings for him. What do you think their relationship is going to look like from here on out, from for the rest of this book and into the beginning of the next book? Do you think that they're going to have like an awkward tension about them? Are they going to pretend it never happened? Are they going to talk about it even?
I don't really see it playing a big factor that way. I kind of feel like, as I just said, he's going to think she wasn't serious. She's going to do the same thing. They both were already very hesitant to bring up their affection for one another. And I mean, Rose is already questioning whether or not it was real for him. And if I were her, I would never have the balls to ask him if it was real. I just feel like this is setting us up for a bigger romantic conflict between the two.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when they after the whole resolution where they save Lissa and Victor, whatever the fuck happens to Victor happens, I think that fuck Victor. I think that there's going to definitely be a conversation between them where Dimitri has to like set some boundaries and be like, that's not going to happen again, just so you know. And he has to play the teacher role, the adult role here, and just lay it out for her and tell her. I feel like Dimitri is going to try to deny that he has feelings for her. I think that he's probably going to be like, oh, well, that was just a lust charm. It was just a lust charm. I don't care about you like that. Like, I'm not attracted to you. You're a child. Like, let's never do that again. And, but I do think it's going to be revealed at some point that Dimitri does have feelings for her.
Yeah, you just pretty much summed up my thoughts. So
What did you think about when they run off to find the rest of the staff and tell them what happened? Nobody really believed her until they found Christian to confirm.
I mean, to be honest, though, after all the shenanigans we know Rose has done in the past, I kind of support it. But when you're saying a student, let alone a fucking princess, was just abducted, that could have been a life or death situation. We honestly still don't know right now. But no, that kind of annoyed me. The fact they were like, "Are you sure that really happened?" Victor Dashkov, are you sure? It rubbed me the wrong way. I hated it, but I could also kind of see why they were all very hesitant. Not that I'm justifying it, but I can see their thought process.
Yeah. Dimitri told the other staff members that the compulsion charm in the necklace made Rose attack him, and so now he won't get in trouble for diddling Rose. Do you think that anybody's ever going to find out that it was a lust charm, or do you think that they'll believe that he was just fighting her off?
He threw it out the window, and I feel like that is foreshadowing to something bigger, but I don't really see that being a big aspect in this book.
Yeah, I don't think that Dimitri's ever going to get in trouble for this or anything like that. Um, Dimitri must have had some really strong willpower to be able to resist the lust charm because he like stopped and like walked away from her and like slowly threw it out the window, and Rose could tell that he was really fighting within himself. Rose didn't have that willpower.
Yeah, I thought it was cute. She said he looked kind of restrained walking back to the window, and I thought that was adorable. But the amount of willpower, man, I don't even have willpower to get out of bed in the morning. Like, to walk away from somebody you're being voodooed to fuck, like, Jesus.
I could never. I would not make a good guardian. I would have been in that bed for days.
If we were at this school, we'd be dead by now. We'd be dead. We wouldn't have this podcast. We'd be dead. Imagine a Dimitri is a sex toy. Like, imagine just going to do the dirty by yourself, and it's just a life-size Russian sexy man.
You know how much space that would take up in my room? This man is 6'7".
So you know those little towels you buy that come in a little ball, but then you put them in the water and they get bigger? Imagine a Dimitri towel.
You walk in my bathroom to get a tampon or something, and there's just a giant inflatable Dimitri in my bathtub.
But it's really lifelike, so it's really worrisome. And I just call you and I'm like, am I supposed to be disposing of this? Like,
Do you think Lissa is going to heal Victor?
fuck no, I don't think she's gonna heal Victor. I think I'm still trying to understand. If it was easy as healing him, why would Miss Carp or Alyssa just not do it? I think it would take too much power, it would destroy them and make them go insane. So that that might be why.
Yeah, I think that healing him would take too much power. Also, he has, what's it called? Sandrovsky's syndrome. Hold on, let me Google what he has. Okay, yeah, he has Sandovsky's syndrome. Well, let me Google this disease. Let me see what happens with this disease. Is this a real thing? Sandovsky's syndrome is a chronic disease that eats at all the vital organs slowly, painfully, until it eventually kills. Oh, this is from the Vampire Academy Wikipedia, so I don't think that this is a real disease. Okay, so it's a fake disease made up by Richelle Mead, and it eats all the vital organs slowly and painfully until it eventually kills. So if it's a chronic disease, I think if it's a chronic disease, I would think that Lissa healing him once wouldn't be enough because it would just keep coming back. So it definitely would take too much power. But do you think that Victor was trying to get Miss Carp to heal him before?
Yeah, I feel like he knew Miss Carp could heal. I feel like he never really understood the magic or power behind it. Did you freak the fuck out? So in the book, Rose is like, "What does he mean, we?" And then she's like, "Oh my god, he means Natalie." That was a very good moment in my part. I was like, hell yeah, everybody's realizing Natalie is a fucking bitch.
We're
So,
not done with the surprises with Natalie. Natalie's got one more. Natalie's got one more at her.
fucking kidding me?
Got at least one more surprise left for us this book, if I remember correctly. I actually forgot all about that surprise. If if you're listening to this and you've read the book, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
She's able to heal too? Question mark.
What do you think is gonna happen to Victor after this? I mean, it's the first book. Obviously, Lissa doesn't die.
Victor is definitely gonna die. I think it's very shitty that he is like one of her last remaining family members, and he fucks her over like this. I think he's gonna die. I hope he dies. I don't think Lissa will get that hurt, to be honest, because they need her. I think he's gonna die. I think there's gonna be a big badass fight scene, but I'm not. I'm still, even though I know who the bad people are now, apparently, I'm really struggling to tie it all together, and usually I'm really good at this game.
Um, how do you think Victor knew to give Rose a lust charm? Think he figured out that that would keep her busy? Because the lust charm didn't work when she was just hanging out with Mason, so it obviously had something to do with Dimitri. So how do you think Victor figured that out?
Dude, I feel like if I were to walk into a room with Rose of Dimitri, that sexual tension would be so palpable.
What do you think is going to happen to Natalie now?
I hope she dies. But I don't know what I think is going to happen to her. It's either her and Victor die or one of them. But if she were to survive, I can see her honestly having kind of a redemption arc. I do see that.
Okay, I like where you're going with that. I'm out of notes. Do you have any more notes?
I do not.
Do you want to read another chapter? I do too. Let's go pee.
Pee.